So I want to talk about this here. I remember I spent some time with a couple of boys some weeks ago, and the session was basically a discovery session, and I wanted to kind of get a feel of, what are they experiencing, what are they talking about, how is the world appearing for them. And an interesting thing came up is obviously one of the first questions was, well, what is a man? And we had that out. But even in that conversation, we ended up getting to relationships. And it's always interesting to learn from the youth how they navigate in relationships because, I never really had someone to coach me in that regard and tell me like how to do things, how to make, how to approach a woman, how to take care of a woman, all of those things. I kind of had to learn by trial and error. So this kid says to me that, man, I've been in a relationship with someone, but I don't want to be with them anymore. And the problem is I'm feeling quite guilty when I want to just end the relationship because this girl is suicidal, So I kind of think that if I do end it, she'll end her life and then I'm going to be left with the burden of, I kind of dumped someone and I caused her death. And I was quite taken aback by that. And I was like, man, it must be really hard for the young boys now to navigate relationships if you're feeling guilty for choosing you, right? If you have to feel guilty for choosing to leave someone that you don't have any feelings for and going for someone that you have feelings for, that you want to be with, whether those feelings are sexual and they're passing, that's a whole different story. But the point is, I'm in this relationship with this person and I want to change, but now I can't because, I'm stuck now in this thing. And I look back now and I ask the guys that, well, do you guys ever hear about choosing yourself from women? What do you think happens when a woman wants to leave? She decides and she's out of there, man. Right? And sometimes, maybe when finances and things are at play and the children to be lost, maybe that's a different story. But for the most part, in those kind of relationships where we're still in college and that, the girl leaves, man. Whether the guy kills himself or whatever, that's what happens. And what's going to happen to the guy that kills himself? We polaile for cheer. And we're going to laugh at him, right? He's now going to be the chump that killed himself because a woman left him. So when I hear stories like that and I think back to this and I read, stories about how boys are playing cat and mouse with women, with these girls, and when these girls now want them, then the boys don't want them. And then when the boy now starts backing off and these, I'm like, yeah, but what is the point here? When are the boys now going to get to a point where they can feel okay with choosing themselves, choosing to be by themselves without having to appease what society regards as good men, right? Being a good man, Why should we feel guilty for choosing ourselves? Is something I never quite understand. Something I wrestle with quite a lot is even in my relationship, and I don't want to bring this in there, but I've had to take a step back from my relationship. But when I spoke to people and I was like, man, this is what I'm doing, or this is what happened, I was like, man, what did you do? Like there's so much judgment for me choosing that. But people didn't understand that I actually did that not just for my sake, but I did it for my partner's sake as well. But we are so afraid to make those sacrifices and those decisions that sometimes as a man you're going to have to make, and it might not put you in the best of lights because you never really hear of a man ask his woman for a break or a man wants to break up with a woman. Like those things, they do happen, but they're so rare and they're not encouraged, So I wanted to share that, man. I don't know if you've been in a situation where you've had to leave someone, but you've kind of been guilted into not doing it. And then you end up staying in a relationship with someone and still doing the fuck shit that you do. But because you can't leave, or you are being guilted for leaving, then you're in a relationship for what? For what sake? Who are you helping? What does that relationship do for you? And what does it even do for the person that you're with? Because then it's just we lose respect for each other in that sense, right? Because I mean, if you don't respect me, you're gonna go cheat on me. If I don't respect you enough to tell you how I feel and how I'm doing and how I can't see a way forward for myself. But what are we talking about, man? You know? So it's really crazy for me to see that, to experience that. At least I was like, man, this is just wild, man. This is wild, you know? But this is more of a question. I'm not even making a statement here. The question here is, you know, guys, when you guys are in relationships, how do you get out of those relationships? Do you ever feel guilty for it? Do you ever get honest with someone and say that, man, as a man, listen, I don't feel like I'm 100%. I don't feel like I'm able to hold down the relationship the way I want to. The way that makes me feel like I'm a man who's handling things. And some people have said it's egotistic for me to even say that because I'm not in a position where I feel like I should be in a relationship. People see that as like, yeah, well, your ego is telling you that because you feel like you don't have money, then you can't be with no one. But I'm like, it's beyond money. You know, I'm going through a whole transition here. My whole life is changing here. And having to navigate that change, being in a relationship, is way harder than doing it by myself, right? And I know it's a hard thing for people to understand because I had to wrestle with this for hours and days on end. And thinking, man, does she love me? You know? Is she gonna hold me down? But sometimes we're so afraid to ask these questions because we're afraid of the answers or the response we're gonna get. Some of us are even afraid to ask our woman if she's happy or if she really loves you because you don't know, man. You don't really know. You're just going off like the guessing game right now. You know, it kind of feels like, yo, I know she loves me, but I don't want to find out. You know. So I just wanted to get that off my chest today, man. I don't know if it'll help anyone, if it'll reach anyone. But if you do hear this message, man, how do you feel about ending a relationship or at least putting a relationship on hold to go to attend on yourself, to go work on yourself? Peace and love, man.